I'll give you $500 right now to buy out the copyright.
Copyright?
That's the right for reprinting, that sort of thing. Sequels, characters for other stories.
Might that be worth something?
Well, only if it's a success.
I see.
Little Women, it's a classic story. I don't have to tell you about the story. The movie has been made before, the book has been published, and it's a classic, it's a classic, okay? And it's a film classic as well. This is 2019's one film by Greta Gerwig directing, and what a big cast is in this film. Like, there's so many good actors playing all these parts. It's fantastic. I was really surprised by this. I thought it was a story that I've seen before. I probably didn't think I would see anything new, or it's like the same old, but I decided to give it a watch and check it out because it was just such a highly praised movie. And I might as well watch it. There's a lot of things I like about this movie. I think it might be my favorite movie adaptation of the book, actually. It's really about relationships, and especially from the young woman's perspective. And I really like how this movie kind of went through flashbacks from present day to I think it was like 7 years prior. And you could really see the family of sisters, kind of how they grew up with each other and their characteristics. Each character in the movie, Joe, Meg, Amy, Beth, all of them had a unique characteristic, and it all was part of the story as well. It all meant something. There was the neighbors, of course. These two men who, one of them, Lori, really likes Joe. And Joe doesn't want to get married, of course. And they kind of fight, and they have, they're friends, but just things don't go well. I thought the chemistry between both of the actors was really well done. I really think the movie what surprised me is all the characters in the film, they had the energy of these young adult people, these teenagers. I don't know what specifically their age was supposed to be at the time, but they had this energy that was very familiar of like what you would see with young people today, but the settings was like old-timey. It was set back in the day when this was first written, and I thought that was great. I think it kept the story alive. The characters were very expressive, and you could tell things were really, really important back then. And some of those things are still important today. The women, they really took into account how wealthy their future husbands might be, because they just couldn't, as women, they were just limited on what they could make financially. And it's because society back then was completely different. It was the opportunity for women was less so. And I really like how they put that into the story, where it was there. It wasn't really I don't think it was like pushing it at the audience, but it was just there, and the characters each dealt with it in their own different ways. And it explained why they decided to fall in love with who they did. I think a lot of romantic movies don't really explain why the characters fall in love with each other. And that's what makes them look cheesy. That's why I don't really like romantic movies very much, because the characters will do things and I'm like, what is their motivation? Why are they doing this? But this film does a really good job at showing each character kind of why they make their choices and what happens because of that, and what they're really looking for as fulfillment, I guess, in their relationships. There's a scene where one of the sisters dies, and I thought the film did a good job at showing the flashbacks and flash forwards and connecting to why that's such an emotional moment. At the end, it really connects to the audience, the writer being remembered for writing a book about Little Women in their lives. yeah, I think it's a fascinating story even today, and it's still entertaining. And it's interesting how Joe wrote this story. In the movie, she writes a book about her life growing up and like all the sisters and just all the stuff that's gone on. And she, there's a part in the movie she's like, I don't think anyone's gonna like this. Nobody's gonna read this. It's just boring, you know. But it's actually very interesting, very entertaining, and it's funny because like nowadays everybody has a YouTube channel or a podcast, and some people just, you know, talk about their day-to-day life on social media. And it's interesting how back then, this was kind of like the beginnings of that. This Little Women's book is just like their personal lives. It's almost like what a reality television show would have been back then. But yeah, the production quality is great. The music's great. I thought it was just really well made, and just a really good movie, a romance movie, I guess. I don't know if it's a period movie with a lot of relationships and stuff. And again, like there's so many movies out here that try to do this, and the characters are just not developed that well. And this movie is just, I think, a wonderful template for anyone who wants to write a movie about love, relationships, like marriage and things like that. Just develop the characters and then just, you know, explain why they would want to be loved by somebody who's wealthy or fall in love with somebody who they really care about. And this movie just does a great job at showing that. And it's a good one. 9.2 out of 10. There you go.